Hey, what's going on everyone, and welcome to the Dual Sanctuary. My name is Rifiso, and today we're doing a Salamangreat deck profile. This Fire Cyberse archetype was first introduced in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Vraids anime and used by the character Soulburner. It utilizes a mechanic unique to the Salamangreat, which is called Reincarnation Link Summon.
Luckily, I have a problem solver called Salamangreat Sanctuary! This field spell lets me offer up a Salamangreat Link monster on my field to Link summon another copy of that monster! Blaze the circuit! Go Reincarnation Link Summon! Rise again from the Valley of Flames, Salamangreat Yugioh!
What's the point of resummoning the same monster?
Well, the point is, by resummoning it, it often gains additional bonus effects. One fun fact about this archetype is that one of the anime scriptwriters told in an interview that it was very difficult to write duels for Salamangreat and Soulburner to be in a losing position or lose a duel in a believable way because the archetype is so incredibly strong. And luckily this power was translated very well to the TCG because this archetype has seen a lot of success over the years. So first we're doing the deck profile, and in the second part of the video I'll show you some basic combos the deck can do to show you what it's capable of. And now without any further ado,
It's time to link into the frames!
Okay, so normally I start off with the main deck cards, but for this profile I'm doing things a little bit differently and start off with the extra deck. Because there are a lot of cards in the main deck that are easier to explain and understand what they do if you already know what the general game plan is with our extra deck boss monsters. So we start off with 2 copies of our ultimate boss monster, Salamangreat Raging Phoenix. When it is Reincarnation Link summoned, you can search the deck for any Salamangreat card, so that's awesome. And if it's in the graveyard while a fire monster you control is destroyed, you can reborn it to the field, and then it gains the attack of the destroyed monster. And it does not specifically mention that your opponent has to be the one who destroys a fire monster, so we can destroy our own fire monsters to reborn this card to the field. So this card comes back every single turn and can be pretty difficult to deal with. So how do we destroy our own fire monsters? Well, that's where our Promethean Princess comes in. If this card is in the graveyard and a monster is summoned to the opponent's field, it can destroy 1 fire monster on our field and 1 monster on the opponent's field, and then she reborns herself onto the field. And then if we have Raging Phoenix in the graveyard, which we should because we Reincarnation Link summoned it, it also special summons back to the field with increased attack points. But Promethean Princess also has another effect. It can also once per turn reborn any fire monster from the graveyard, so these 2 cards have so much synergy together, they are basically made for each other. Promethean Princess is very important for the deck and helps us summon out our Raging Phoenix and our other boss monster, Pyro Phoenix. This monster has 3 effects. You can special summon a Link monster in your opponent's graveyard to their field. This can come up sometimes if you want to trigger the Promethean Princess in your graveyard. And if a Link monster is special summoned to the opponent's field, with his first effect for example, you can burn your opponent equal to its original attack. But its most important effect is when you Reincarnation Link summon your Pyro Phoenix, it destroys all cards your opponent controls. Okay, so how do we Reincarnation Link summon these boss monsters? We have 2 cards that help us out with that, including a new one we got recently, Code of Soul. This card also has 3 effects. You can special summon it if you control a Link monster. Its effect grants you 1 Reincarnation Link summon during the turn, and you can banish it from the graveyard to Link summon a Link 3 or higher monster during your opponent's main phase. So we use this last effect to Reincarnation Link summon our Pyro Phoenix into another Pyro Phoenix during our opponent's turn to destroy their entire field. That is amazing. Besides Code of Soul, we also have our field spell Salamangreat Sanctuary. This is one of the most important cards in the deck because it allows us to Reincarnation Link summon once per turn. And this field spell is very easy to search with our Salamangreat Balinks. It only requires one level 4 or lower Cybers monster to summon, so that's easy. Also, it helps getting our Salamangreat monsters in the graveyard so we can use their effects. And if it's summoned, you can search your deck for the Salamangreat Sanctuary field spell. It also has an awesome graveyard effect. You can banish it from the grave to prevent a Salamangreat card from being destroyed. Overall, an amazing card that provides us with a lot of utility. Next up, 2 Sunlight Wolf and 1 copy of Mirage Stalio. Sunlight Wolf can recycle a fire monster in your graveyard back to the hand if a monster is summoned to a zone it points to, but that monster cannot be normal or special summoned for the rest of the turn. And if Wolf is Reincarnation Link summoned, it can recycle a Salamangreat spell or trap from the graveyard back to the hand. Mirage Stalio can special summon a Salamangreat from the deck by detaching 1 material, but then it locks you into only using fire monster effects for the rest of the turn. And if it's sent to the graveyard to link summon a Salamangreat monster, you can bounce 1 monster on the field back to the hand. So also some nice utility for going second. Okay, now for some non-Salamangreat monsters. 1 Cybers Wicked. This card can search a deck for a Cybers Tuner monster if a monster is special summoned to a zone it points to. We use this effect to grab our Weasel. It's the only tuner we have in the deck. And we need this tuner to make our Brotherhood Horse Prince. This Synchro monster can special summon any level 3 monster from the deck, but after it's been Synchro summoned you cannot special summon level 5 or higher monsters for the rest of the turn. Which does not matter because this is the only monster higher than level 5. And we use its effect to special summon the Code of Soul from the deck. Code of Soul is not technically a Salamangreat monster. Our Salamangreat searchers cannot grab this card from our deck, so that's why we play this Synchro monster. Next we're playing 1 copy of Hida the Fire Charmer. This monster can steal a fire monster in your opponent's graveyard to our field, so this is very nice to help link climb in Promethean Princess. And if it is destroyed by the opponent, you can search for a 1500 defense or lower fire monster. So up until now we have 14 extra deck cards. I consider the last one a flex spot. The last card I would recommend playing is 1 copy of SP Little Knight. This is probably the best card in the game right now, but also really expensive and difficult to find. I don't have a physical copy of this card unfortunately, but if I did I would absolutely play it. I am using it on Master Duel in my Salamangreat deck and I summon her a lot. Some alternatives for the last extra deck slot I would recommend are a 3rd copy of Sunlight Wolf or World Sea Dragon Zealantis. This card can banish all monsters on the field and then resummon them back to their owner's fields in face up or face down defense position. It can also during the battle phase destroy cards on the field up to the number of co-link monsters on the field. So this card offers a lot of versatility and helps you trigger your Promethean Princess. So that's it for the extra deck. Now let's take a look at the main deck. Okay, so for the first monster in the main deck we're playing is triple copies of Salamangreat Gazelle. This one can special summon to the field if a Salamangreat monster was sent to the graveyard. And if it's summoned you can send any Salamangreat card from the deck to the graveyard. So it's even better than a Foolish Burial. It can also send Salamangreat spell and traps, which makes this card really versatile. Actually, if I had to describe the Salamangreat deck in 1 word, it would probably be versatility. The next monster is 2 copies of Salamangreat of Fire. On summon it searches the deck for any level 4 or lower Salamangreat monster. It does lock you in special summoning fire monsters for the rest of the turn. It also has a graveyard effect that is not really relevant at the start of the damage step. Banish it to destroy your monster that is battling. That one very rarely comes up. The next card is 3 copies of Lady Debug. This card searches for a level 3 or lower Cybers monster when it's summoned. When I started with this deck I also played 3 Salamangreat of Fire. And if I could choose between Debug and Fire, I always went with Fire as my preferred starter. Because the combo lines with Fire are a bit easier I think. But once I got more comfortable with the deck and the combos, I started to appreciate Debug more and more. It offers more versatility, it doesn't lock you into Fire like Salamangreat of Fire, which gives us some extra options. And it can also search for Code of Soul. We're also playing 3 copies of Spin. You can discard this card to increase one of your monster's attack by 500, But more importantly, you can reborn it from the graveyard if there is a Salamangreat monster name on the field. But then it banishes itself when it leaves the field, which is not that important because we can work around that restriction very easily, which you'll see a little bit later in the combo part of the video. Next up, a couple of Salamangreat one-offs. Salamangreat Foxy, Jaguar and Weasel. Foxy has 2 effects, but you can only use one of those each turn. When it is normal summoned, you can look at the top 3 cards of the deck and then choose a Salamangreat card and add it to your hand. And if there is a face-up spell or trap card on the field, you can discard a Salamangreat card to reborn it from the graveyard. And then you can optionally destroy one face-up spell or trap on the field. This card is a really nice option to out floodgates. It can even destroy Skill Drain, for example. Because even though Foxy is on the field, the effect was activated in the graveyard, so Skill Drain does not negate it. Even though Foxy destroys it when it is on the field. Then next, Jaguar. This card can, if you control a Salamangreat Link monster, special summon from the graveyard to a zone it points to, by shuffling another Salamangreat monster in the grave back in the deck. This card is also really nice, a free special summon, and I use this mostly to recycle my Salamangreat Link monsters back in the extra deck. And then Weasel was, at first sight, definitely the weirdest one of the new Salamangreat support monsters. You can special summon Weasel to the field if there are 2 or more Salamangreat monsters in the graveyard, so that's obviously really nice. And if a Salamangreat Fusion, Synchro, Xyz, Link, etc. is special summoned to your field while it is in the graveyard, you can place this card on the bottom of the deck, special summon another Salamangreat monster from your graveyard to your opponent's field, and then you draw 1 card. So the first time I read this card I was like, what? Okay, a free draw sorta, but you're giving your opponent a free body. Why? But there is a very cool trick you can do with this effect, which I'll show you a little bit later in the combo part of the video. And then the last monster is Code of Soul. I already explained this one a little bit earlier in the video. Alright, that's it for the monsters. Now let's check out the spells and traps. The first one is Salamangreat Circle. This is an awesome quick play spell. You can choose between 2 effects. It can search the deck for any Salamangreat monster, or you can target a Salamangreat Link monster that was Reincarnation Link summoned. It becomes unaffected by monster effects for the rest of the turn except for his own. So you'll usually use its search effect, but the second one can also come up every so often. But definitely one of the best search cards in the deck. Next, we're also playing triple copies of Signet Mining to improve our consistency even more. Discard a card to search any level 4 or lower Cybers monster. So this card searches every monster in the deck basically, except for our hand traps of course. Next, a couple of one-offs, Salamangreat Sanctuary, Charge, and Will of the Salamangreats. Salamangreat Sanctuary is our field spell that allows us to Reincarnation Link summon once per turn. Charge is a quick play spell that lets you choose between 2 effects. You can target 1 card on the field and destroy it if you control a Fire, Fusion, Ritual, Synchro, Xyz or Link whose current attack is different than its original. Or you can target 3 fire monsters that are banished and or in the grave, shuffle 2 back in the deck and then reborn the third, but its effects are negated and it cannot attack. I use this mostly to recycle my Link monsters because we burn through the extra deck really fast because of all the Reincarnation Link summoning, and it's also really nice that you can recycle your banished monsters. And then Will of the Salamangreat is a continuous spell that has 2 effects, but you can only use one of those each turn. It can special summon a monster from the hand or graveyard, or if you have a Reincarnation Link summoned monster on the field, you can send Will to the graveyard and then reborn Salamangreat monsters from the graveyard up to the Link rating of that monster. So it's not unusual to reborn 4 Salamangreat monsters from the graveyard, which is really good. Then we play 1 archetype counter trap, Salamangreat Roar. This card can negate and destroy any spell, trap or monster effect while you control a Salamangreat Link monster. And if it's in the graveyard while you Reincarnation Link summon, you can set it back to the field. But if it leaves the field, it banishes itself, so an awesome interruption to have during your opponent's turn. So that's it for the Salamangreat cards. Up until now we're playing 25 cards, so we have a lot of room in the deck for hand traps and other good generic staples. For the first hand trap we're playing Triple Ash Blossom. This hand trap also has some synergy in the deck because there are ways to recycle it back to the hand so you can use it again. Really nice. And for the other hand traps we're also playing 3 Veiler, Triple Impermanence, and 2 Nibiru. And then the last 4 cards in the main deck are 1 Called by the Grave and triple Crawls Out Designator. These are to stop our opponent's hand traps. So this is just what I'm currently playing, but you should always change your hand traps and generic staples based on your local environment. If you want to play in more hand traps, you definitely can, and you can also increase the deck size to 43, 44 if you want to fit in some more. I think the deck is really flexible in that regard. So that's it for the main deck. Now let's check out some combos this deck can do. Okay, so generally the first part of the game plan is to get to your Promethean Princess. So I'll show you a couple of ways to do that first with our starters, and then I'll explain what you can do once you have the Promethean Princess on the field. So we start off with just our Gazelle, normal summon it, and it sends Spinny to our graveyard. Then Spinny can reborn itself to the field because we control a Salamangreat monster. Next we overlay these two and Xyz summon into Mirage Stalio. And then we use its effect, detach Spinny and summon Salamangreat of Fire from the deck. Now normally, if Spinny is special summoned from the graveyard, it gets banished when it leaves the field. But because it was an Xyz material, it does not get banished, because Xyz material is not considered to be on the field, so we keep Spinny in the graveyard. Really nice, so we have it available on our next turn. And now that Salamangreat of Fire is special summoned, we can add Weasel to our hand. Then we link off the fire into our Balings. And Baling searches our field spell Salamangreat Sanctuary. Now we have exactly 2 Salamangreats in the graveyard, so we can special summon our Weasel from the hand. And then we'll use it with our other monsters to link summon Promethean Princess. So this is how you get to your Promethean Princess with just 1 Gazelle. Next I'll show you how to do this with Salamangreat of Fire. It's almost the same as with Gazelle, just the order is a little bit different. We normal summon it and search for Gazelle. And then we link it off into Balings. Then Balings activates as Chainlink 1 and Gazelle as Chainlink 2. Because Gazelle witnessed a Salamangreat going to the graveyard, it can special summon to the field. And Baling searches for our Salamangreat Sanctuary. Then Gazelle's effect activates and we send Spinny to the graveyard. And then we reborn Spinny with its own effects. And overlay them and Xyz into Mirage Stalio. Then we use Mirage Stalio, detach and special summon Weasel from the deck. Now we have enough material to go into our Promethean Princess, and let's continue this further. We use her effect to reborn a fire monster, does not really matter which one. And then we link them off to go into our ultimate boss monster, Salamangreat Raging Phoenix. Next we activate the field spell and use the effect to Reincarnation Link summon the Raging Phoenix. And now that it is Reincarnation Link summoned, its effect activates and we can search for any Salamangreat card. We'll grab this Will of Salamangreat and use its effect immediately, send it to the graveyard, and now we can summon Salamangreats from the hand and graveyard in advance up to the link rating of our monster, so we can special summon 4 monsters. So as a general rule of thumb, you always want to summon your Weasel, and the other target should be your level 3s as much as possible because you want to make a level 6 synchro. And keep in mind you cannot reborn your Salamangreat Link monsters because the monsters have to be summoned in defense position. Next we tune Weasel and Gazelle into our level 6 synchro Horse Prince. And this monster summons our Code of Soul directly from the deck, and Code of Soul grants us an extra Reincarnation Link summon during this turn. So now that we got that out of the way, we are linking Code of Soul and Fire into our Sunlight Wolf. And summoning a Salamangreat Xyz or Link monster allows us to activate Weasel in the graveyard. Weasel first summons a Salamangreat in our graveyard to our opponent's field. Then Weasel goes to the bottom of the deck, and then we draw a random card. And now that a monster is summoned to our opponent's field, we can trigger the effect of Promethean Princess in the graveyard. We destroy our own Raging Phoenix and the Balings to special summon it. And this activates the effect of Raging Phoenix in the graveyard. Because our Raging Phoenix was destroyed, we special summoned the other Raging Phoenix, and it gains the attack of the Raging Phoenix that was on the field, so now it has 5600 attack. Next, we are going to use the extra incarnation link summon we got from Code of Soul to relink Sunlight Wolf, because then it gains the effect to recycle Salamangreat spell or trap back to our hand. So we grab the will back for our next turn, and then we link the Promethean Princess and our last Salamangreat monster into Salamangreat Pyro Phoenix, and we want to summon this to the zone the wolf points to, because now wolf can recycle a fire monster back to our hand. So I like to grab a Gazelle if I don't already have one in my hand, but if you do, you could also, for example, recycle an Ash Blossom if you have one in your graveyard. So this is our end board off of just one card. What did we achieve here? We have our Promethean Princess in the graveyard to destroy a monster on our opponent's field and one of our own fire monsters. We have Raging Phoenix in the graveyard to special summon if one of our fire monsters is destroyed. Also, we have Balings in the graveyard, can one time prevent our Salamangreat cards from being destroyed. And then Code of Soul in the graveyard to, during the main phase of our opponent, link summon a Link 3 or higher monster. So we would use this to reincarnation summon Pyro Phoenix into Pyro Phoenix, because when this card is reincarnation summoned, it wipes our opponent's entire field. So a lot of our disruptions are hidden in the graveyard. And we only used one card for this board. We also added back the Gazelle and the Will of the Salamangreat for follow-up. Weasel drew us a random card, so we still have 7 cards in our hand. Absolutely nuts. It's also very easy to add another disruption to this field. If you, for example, open with Gazelle and Spinny, you can send the Salamangreat Roar to the graveyard instead. This trap can set itself back to the field if you reincarnation link summon a Salamangreat, but then it banishes it when it leaves the field. So now let's do one more combo with Lady Debug. Okay, this time I'll show you a 2-card combo with Lady Debug and Gazelle. We summon the lady and use her to search for Code of Soul. And then we link her off for Salamangreat Balings to search for our field spell. Next we special Code of Soul and use its effect to grant us an extra reincarnation link summon. And then we link them away for Wicked. Now our Gazelle witnessed a Salamangreat going to the graveyard, so we special summon it to a zone the Wicked points to. Now both of their effects activate. Gazelle sends our Salamangreat Roar to the grave, and for the Wicked we banish our Debug to search for Weasel, our only tuner in the deck. Next we link these away for Promethean Princess. And before we use our Reborn effect, we special summon our Weasel, because now we have exactly 2 Salamangreats in the graveyard. Then Promethean Princess reborns the Gazelle, and we tune these 2 into Horse Prince. And this card can special summon our Salamangreat Spinny from the deck. Then it's finally time to link summon our ultimate boss monster, Raging Phoenix. And then we do it again with our field spell. Okay, now multiple effects activate here. We go Chainlink 1 Raging Phoenix, Chainlink 2 Weasel in the graveyard, and Chainlink 3 Salamangreat Roar. Roar sets itself back to the fields. Weasel goes to the bottom of the deck, then summons the Balings to the opponent's side of the field, and then we draw 1 random card. And then we add the Will of the Salamangreat with Raging Phoenix's effect. Next, a monster was special summoned to the opponent's field, so we can use the Promethean Princess in the graveyard to destroy it and our Horse Prince to reborn it from the graveyard. And now our other Raging Phoenix also reborns from the graveyard with 5000 attack because it gains the attack of the Horse Prince. Then we'll activate the Will and send it to the graveyard to reborn our 2 Salamangreats. There's so much reborning going on in this deck, absolutely insane. Okay, so now, because we did not use the Salamangreat of Fire, we are not locked into Fire Summoning only. But while Promethean Princess is on the field, we are locked into Fire Summoning only. So first we link her away and one of her Salamangreats into Pyro Phoenix. Now we are not locked into fire anymore, so we link one Raging Phoenix and the other Salamangreat into SP Little Knights. So we have pretty much the exact same end board as last time, but in addition we have our Counter Trap and SP Little Knights. So yeah, that's it for the combo with Lady Debug. This deck is very good and fun to play. There are so many variations on how you can build a Salamangreat deck and so many different combos you can do, it's almost impossible to get into everything. Let me know in the comments how you are playing your Salamangreat deck, and I see you later.